All right, let's dive right into this explainer. Today, we're stepping into the shoes of forensic legal analysts. We're looking at a meticulous briefing, the kind that's absolutely crucial for the bench and the National Prosecuting Authority, on the structural nexus of South African organized crime. We're going to forensically examine the heavily redacted testimony of a digital investigator known only as Witness J. This was presented to the Madlanga Commission of Inquiry, focusing on the infamous Durban-Ayrton cocaine shipment. And as you'll see, the evidence we are about to explore maps out exactly how modern syndicates operate in the shadows, directly addressing the arguments brought forward by the defense advocates.
So, here is our roadmap for this explainer. 1. Preserving investigative integrity. 2. Digital forensics and networks. 3. Demolishing the informant narrative. And 4. Law enforcement and political collusion. Let's get right into it. Section 1. Preserving investigative integrity. The methods of Witness J. Now, before we even look at the data itself, we have to talk about how this was presented. Witness J's testimony was heard entirely in camera. Why? To protect ongoing investigative leads and some highly sensitive analytical methods from incredibly dangerous, well-resourced syndicates. I mean, just look at the heavy redactions on this docket. Those massive blacked-out blocks visibly underscore the severe security risks involved here. But if you look at the unredacted parts, they reveal collaborations with the FBI, the Pretoria SAPS Academy, and corruption investigations facilitated through the British High Commission. So we are literally dealing with a multi-agency, high-stakes intelligence-gathering operation targeted at the absolute highest echelons of organized crime. To really follow Witness J's forensic legal analysis, we first need to grasp how metadata and encryption became the incontrovertible proof for the NPA. You know, criminals today, they don't just send standard text messages. They use end-to-end encryption, thinking it makes them completely invisible. But here's the catch. While the content of a message might be hidden, the metadata, that digital footprint detailing exactly when a message was sent, its size, the device info, that cannot be easily erased. It's like a digital shadow. And this metadata is exactly the thread Witness J pulled to unravel this entire syndicate. Section 2. Digital Forensics and Communication Networks. Okay, this section is where the digital footprint of a coordinated network truly comes to light. We're looking at intercepted cellular, Threema, and Telegram data. Witness J did something brilliant here. They methodically cross-referenced anonymous Threema chats against standard WhatsApp timestamps. And why does that matter? Well, Threema is a Swiss-based app that doesn't require an email or a phone number to sign up. It's basically a haven for anonymity. But by comparing the exact timestamps of screenshots saved on a specific Samsung device, Witness J was able to link the anonymous Threema user to a known WhatsApp profile. Bingo. This identified a user named Alpha and pinpointed our primary suspect, Tumelo Nku, who was operating under the alias Philip plan. Check out this intercepted Threema message. It instantly places us right inside the syndicate's operational panic. The messages are just littered with references to containers, vessels, Pier 1, and customs. In this specific exchange, the network is totally stressing out over the delayed extraction of what they call stuff, which, as we know, is a common colloquialism in law enforcement for illicit drugs. They were trying to get it out of a container at the port of Durban. The metadata clearly shows this immense, highly coordinated pressure to retrieve the stuff. So here is the crucial point. Nku actually possessed this specific yellow jersey logistics track and trace metadata on his device well before the container was ever intercepted at the Ayrton crime scene. He literally had screenshots showing the unique container number plus the exact registration of the truck meant to transport it. He was actively monitoring the logistics of this illicit shipment, and for the NPA, this provides compelling forensic evidence of premeditation and direct, hands-on involvement in drug trafficking logistics. Section 3. Demolishing the informant narrative. With that digital footprint firmly established, we can now objectively evaluate Tumelo Nku's defense. His advocate argued that he was merely a legitimate whistleblowing police informant, just trying to help law enforcement catch the bad guys. But this text comparison starkly highlights a complete inversion of standard police protocol. Think about it. In a normal relationship, law enforcement formally reimburses the informant in South African rand for providing actionable intelligence. But Witness J's digital extraction revealed the exact opposite. Tumelo Nku was the one directly funding the law enforcement officials. And let's be real, true informants do not act as the financial backers for their handlers. Furthermore, plotting the GPS cellular pings maps Nku's physical movements perfectly. It tracks him all the way from Durban Pier 1 in KwaZulu-Natal directly to a subsequent payoff meeting with Alpha at an Indicio restaurant in the Bedford area. and finally aligns with the eventual drug recovery in Eritrea. I mean, key risks traveling all the way to Durban just to follow a truck. This logistical tracking strongly suggests the direct facilitation of a massive drug trafficking operation, rather than just the distant observation of a whistleblower. And intercepted communications highlight another absolutely critical contradiction in Nunkula's defense. In one message, Nunkula complains that the route is, quote, still hot to move by the road because there are way too many stop and searches. He explicitly notes that he is avoiding the SAPS canine units. Now ask yourself, would an actual informant working in tandem with the police be actively routing transport to evade the very SAPS canine drug detection units meant to intercept the drugs? No way. The defense's narrative simply collapses under the weight of this digital evidence analyzed by the prosecution advocates. Section 4. Collusion with law enforcement and political entities. Now we have to examine the alleged nexus between this organized crime network and state entities. The forensic data reveals extensive, direct communication between Mbanku and a senior law enforcement officer, Chief Samuel Mashaba. Mbanku actually had Mashaba saved on his device under the aliases Doggy Hacks or Mashaba Hawks. The extracted Telegram and WhatsApp logs indicate severe compromise within the very units, like the Hawks, that are meant to stop this exact type of organized crime. They were literally sharing routes and coordinating on that yellow Jersey logistics truck. And this transaction data severely undermines that informant defense even further. Digital forensics uncovered that Chief Mashaba provided Nku with the banking details for a company registered in his own name, called Shilobane Lodge. Shortly after, Nku replied via text with a single word, done. This indicates that Nku was transferring illicit South African rand directly into the business account of a sitting law enforcement official. He was allegedly paying for protection and operational assistance to successfully retrieve illicit drugs from those transport trucks. But as you might guess, the financial web doesn't stop at law enforcement. The digital docket further alleges that illicit funds were funneled directly into political structures. Witness J's profiling analysis noted that Nkulu was financially supporting branches of the African National Congress, the ANC. This included securing VIP tables for the party's January 8th anniversary events in the Eastern Cape, and even supplying transport for organizations to Thule House. On top of that, Nkulu used shell companies and registered immovable properties in his mother's name to hide the proceeds of these illicit activities. What we're looking at here, and what the Commission is analyzing, are the potential mechanical blueprints of state capture. So as we close out this explainer, we are left with a pretty sobering reality presented by Witness J's analysis. We really have to ask ourselves, if a known facilitator of a drug syndicate can seamlessly fund political branches and simultaneously buy off top law enforcement officials with illicit czar, how deep does the structural compromise of the state truly run? The forensic evidence clearly points to a system where organized crime and state power don't just exist side by side, they actively sustain one another. It honestly leaves us wondering just how many other digital dockets are out there, waiting to be decrypted by the NPA.